Looking with an open heart into the traditions of the past, we may sense that for our distant ancestors, the winter season signaled a profound metaphysical shift. When Earth's folial mantle had been shed, her skin and bones were exposed, crusted with silver ice. Once fluid water hardened into glittering forms. As the cold descended from the ends of the earth, animals went to their burrows. Plants, once outstretched toward the sky, drew back their limbs, just as the blood drew inward toward the vitals of the human body. Everything seemed to retract and return into itself, preserving and, in doing so, reconnecting to its core essence. The 19th century esotericist Rudolf Steiner likened the great seasonal cycle of the year to a kind of etheric breath of the earth. At the height of summer, the breath is fully exhaled. The planet's energy flows outward, mingling with and receiving the impulses of the greater cosmos. But in autumn begins the long breath inward, and these energies recede beneath the surface. Everything that is now to belong to the soul of the earth returns to it. This movement of separation, distinction, and inward consolidation is the keynote of the winter mysteries. As the microcosmic denizen, humanity was naturally shaped by these seasonal cycles. In the dark watches of the winter nights, the quietude and constraint imposed by the season called forth honest reflection and deep contemplation, not only of oneself, but of the world. The undergirding structure of both the earth and man was clarified and revealed in stillness and silence. Yet when humanity turned its gaze inward with the season, the world revealed itself as transformed, but not empty. Though the spirits of the heavens and the flowing elements, those that danced over water and through the air among the flowers, could no longer be seen, a hidden order of chthonic beings arose, surging upward into human consciousness. Some appeared as monsters, grotesque beings of excess, some as merciless destroyers and enforcers, and still others as protectors and preservers of light, all of them agents of wisdom in their own right, whose felt presence helped shape human ideals of balance and order. The winter mysteries embodied both danger and revelation, a sword with two edges, through whose swing the lines of reality were sharply drawn. Welcome to the Hidden Passage. In anthroposophy, the essential thrust of the winter spiritual impulse is the consolidation of the ego through a kind of cosmic separation, triggered by Earth's etheric in-breath and affecting all sentient beings, seen and unseen, living upon it. The nature spirits that rise upward in summer, merging into a collectivized state with etheric currents that reach outward to join the greater movements of the solar system, descend back to Earth as this breath recedes. In winter, they become once again individualized beings, more directly relatable to humanity. While the elementals of air, fire, and water drift towards dormancy in winter, those of the earth element, the gnomes, remain active. To these beings, Steiner attributes great wisdom. They are keepers of the secrets of form and crystallization, and play a vital role in the formation of the physical realm. a process that continues year-round. Though all appears quiet on the surface, much is happening beneath the veil of matter. All that is taken in by the earth from the summer streams of cosmic influence and earthly activity is metabolized within her being, with the help of the gnomes. Steiner states that, quote, "In their wanderings through ore and rock, they perceive and bear with them what has filtered down through the plants, which to them are the same as rays of light to us, and they carry the ideas of the whole universe, streaming throughout the earth, from metal to metal, from rock to rock." Through the winter months, the gnomes whisper the ideal forms of plants to the sleeping seeds. The concept overlaps with many similarly described beings across cultures. Their connection to the descent of divine will into the structure of creation finds a clear parallel in the Norse poetic Edda with respect to the dwarves. After having slain the giants, moving from primeval chaos towards form and order, quote, "Then sought the gods their assembly seats, the holy gods, and they took counsel together, who should make the dwarves from Brimir's blood and the limbs of Blowen." And later we are told that Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, Gungir, Odin's spear, Draupnir, the self-multiplying ring, and Skithblathnir, the folding ship, were all fashioned by the dwarves. And these were not merely magical artifacts, but world-ordering technologies. This theme is also present in ancient Greece. Plato makes the sweeping assertion that all lesser spirits are intermediaries and agents of higher powers. He writes, quote, "Everything daimonic is between the divine and the mortal. Being intermediate, it fills up the gap between them and binds together all into a single whole. Through the daimonic comes all intercourse and conversations of gods with men, whether waking or asleep. Existing between the physical and the non-physical, mediating the two, privy to the flow of energy before it manifests into the wider process of evolution, such beings were naturally assigned heightened epistemic capacity. Paracelsus wrote of the earth mannequins that, quote, "They know all future affairs, present affairs, and past, which are not apparent but are hidden, in that they can serve man, protect, warn, guide him, and such like, for they have reason in common with man." So it's not surprising that in myth and folk belief, we see these gnome-like beings occupying a tutelary role. In the Völsunga saga, Sigurd is taught the necessary skills and cunning for heroism by the dwarf Regin, who was said to be, quote, "skilled in every craft." This pedagogical element appears again in later folk traditions. A 19th century Norwegian memoir recounts how a family of farmers struggled to complete their harvest before winter, when they received unexpected aid from the Tusa. During the night, they heard the sounds of cutting and tying in the fields, the shuffling of many feet in the workhouse. By morning, the entire field had been cut, and the sheaves were tied in a way that no one had seen before. This method, later called the straight tie, proved more efficient than the traditional cross tie, and came into widespread use. The innovation was credited to the Tusa. Even after humanity lost the ability to see and interact with such beings directly, as theosophists claim, elementals could impress thoughts upon humans by working upon their astral aura. The spirits of the mines who once knocked upon the cave walls also knock upon inner cognition, helping to shape the winter mood and its ritualization across cultures. Steiner relates that the ancient winter mysteries involved the molding of shapes, the solving of riddles, and the casting of runes. Initiates learned the arts of healing during winter as well, when the earth imbued plants with particular therapeutic properties. These inquiries into form and function resonate with what is said of the nature of these earth spirits. In North America, among the Anishinaabe of the Great Lakes region, winter nightly gatherings were a time for instruction across disciplines. History, astronomy, botany, and spirituality, often imparted through story. Only in winter could a teacher invoke the manitou as the muse of this sacred transmission, for it was the time when spirits were closest to the human world. In oral tradition, this emphasis on teaching through story was especially vital for cultural continuity and remembrance across generations. Here we might glimpse what is missing from later European winter storytelling traditions: traces of an innately human winter impulse toward functional knowledge and embodied understanding. On a similar note, the Icelandic observance of Thorablat, rather than exuberant fertility rites, is oriented toward endurance. Celebrated during the harsh month of Thori, from mid-January to mid-February, dedicated to the giant descended king, often interpreted as the personification of winter, who was known for his emphasis on sacrifice. Thorablat involves the consumption of preserved foods, oath-keeping, and ritual temperance, a recognition that winter demands alignment with its constraining forces rather than resistance to them. These traditions, though distinct, rhyme in their sagacity, expressing in ritual form what the winter impulse kindles inwardly: the deliberate cultivation of measure, conservation of both life and wisdom as sacred, and the acknowledgement of the season directly as it was. The winter wisdom shines brightest in regions of scarcity and isolation, where self-discipline is truly put to the test. Virtue was imparted not through abstraction, but through necessity and survival. In very ancient times, about which history keeps no record, humans, according to Steiner, possessed a dream-like, suggestible consciousness, lacking modern self-awareness. They were impelled toward winter rites by the soul element of the earth itself, invoking qualities of shrewdness, ingenuity, and outward expression. This wasn't materialistic reductionism as we understand it, but a quiet meditation on the small self in relation to the world, a means of becoming aware of what one is. Through the cold sobriety of winter, thoughts were drawn up into the head so that the human ego could form. In this way, the earth's in-breath, consolidation in its repose, was mirrored within mankind itself, fostering first the formation and later the grounding, the preservation of human identity. This preservatory impulse, too, is reflected in the planetary winter process. It is the gnomes who safeguard what has been taken in during the year, so that it may pass intact from one cycle to the next. Steiner states that they, quote, are the preservers in the evolution of the continuity of the firm structure, and thus they preserve it from one world body to another. So their winter labor is not creative in the outward sense, but custodial, maintaining form, memory, and structure beneath the surface, while the world lies fallow. This is also extended to humans, reflecting the greater work on a smaller scale and kindred spirit among beings that share the earth element in their makeup. Folklorically, it can be found in beliefs surrounding domestic spirits and various helpful sprites. In Scandinavia, Winter was the season when contracts were renewed. Offerings were made so that these beings, referred to as the Nissa or Tusa, would protect the home and provide assistance. Many of the stories associated with them take place in winter, when scarcity was most acute. In times of want, it was even said that the Tusa would steal from neighboring farms of abundance to ensure the survival of those under their care. Among the Anishinaabe, the most beloved of the little manitou, the Mema, Gowe, and Siwuk, were described as shaggy, miniature adults and were associated with the care of lost children, whether physically or emotionally. One account tells of a little girl who went missing for days in sub-zero temperatures. To everyone's astonishment, she was later found alive, beneath a blanket woven of leaves. Her survival was attributed to their protection. But not all winter beings were benign. Their intrusion into human life, where restraint failed or guidance was ignored, often spelled disaster. As we continue to build out this winter ecology of spirits, attention must be given to the darker, malignant beings believed to roam during the months of darkness, astral shells, thought forms, and monstrous elementals generated out of the year's activity, drawn toward human habitation like moths to the flame. In cultures shaped by harsh winters, we often see the appearance of rogue entities arriving unbidden and disrupting domestic life. Yet many of these beings are not wholly other. Steiner observed that the higher cosmic forces which stream down through the gnomes can become distorted as they pass through the human sphere of thought, producing parasitic entities in a kind of warped chain of transmission. That some entities were thought to arise from the psychic refuse of humanity is illustrated in a 19th century Norwegian memoir. A woman attending a winter dance perceived a number of ghastly spectral companions among the revelers. She observed, quote, "A tall wretch was swinging his partner. She knew him quite well. He was the scoundrel who starved his horses during winter. She caught a glimpse of something following behind him in the dimly lit room. It was a horse that was nothing but skin and bones, swaying from side to side, so emaciated that it could barely stand. Next there came another couple, and the man leading his partner was a fat glutton. His fylgja was a fat pig plodding along on all fours. The girl almost fainted on the spot when she saw nothing but evil fylgja in animal shapes mingling with the dancers." In Nordic folklore, winter was also the season when trolls descended from their mountainous abodes to take over farmsteads, driving families out and holding their own feasts. On the island of Kalsoy in Denmark, legend claims that on the 12th night, so many trolls swarmed in the northern village that the inhabitants fled entirely. Thus, it came to be called Trollanus. A shepherd was said to have heard the trolls singing, "Trum, trum, tra-la-la, even trolls think it's chilly where it's really nice and warm on the farm down at Scalavolo." Scholars Raymond Kvitteland and Henning Semsdorf note that trolls are one name for the giants of Norse mythology, who in ancient Scandinavian literature are, quote, usually cast in the role of enemies of the gods and the human community. Across many ancient cosmologies, giants and monsters are linked to primordial chaos, forces both destructive but also linked to creation, as seen in the macrophagic myths. Here we find our first ontological clue. that such beings represent raw, untempered creative force, natural in origin, but out of place in the world order. Paracelsus's concept of monsters sharpens this symbolism. He asserted that many are errant offspring of the elementals, writing, quote, "The people of the forest make the giants when they come together in intercourse, just as a conjunction produces a comet or an earthquake. Their appearance did not follow the ordinary course of nature, but arose, quote, by special divine providence, and served as omens. Dwarves signified poverty, while giants signaled destruction." His model seems to imply that their arrival, even their very existence, is the result of some imbalance between man, nature, and the divine, whether they are direct expressions of that imbalance or working to rectify it. The, quote, "good and evil spirits of winter," in this sense, may be two sides of the same coin. Their mythic register consistently refers to this theme going back to their very creation. Giants shape the world and recede. Dwarves are born from the bodies of the giants, all pointing toward reorientation and balancing of a common pre-theological force. Whatever the interpretation, these systems place such beings within the same interconnected ecology of spirit as humanity. Human thought and action have always shaped these forces just as they shape the unconscious. Some beings become legible through rationality and restraint, others take form where impulse overflows. This notion is no more clearly realized than in the Ojibwe belief in the Wendigo. This was the eminent winter terror of the northeastern woodlands and subarctic regions of North America, a manitou of insatiable hunger, whose size was said to grow in proportion to what it consumed. The Wendigo was excess made manifest, a being whose existence relied upon the same qualities taking root in the human soul. At the edge of the wilderness, it waited, preying upon those whose own overindulgence or disinhibition drove them too far in search of food. Within Ojibwe cosmology, Mother Earth was understood to provide what humans needed, and summer emphasized the labor of gathering enough to last through winter. To fail to adhere to this rhythm was to fall out of alignment with nature itself. Ojibwe elders are said to have often warned, quote, "Not too much. Think of tomorrow. Next winter. Think of others. Balance." As Ojibwe scholar Basil Johnston writes, quote, "As long as men and women put the well-being of others ahead of their own interests, offering to Mother Earth as signs of gratitude, and living out their visions, they would instinctively know how to live in harmony and have nothing to fear of the Wendigo. If all men and women lived in moderation, the Wendigo and his brothers and sisters would starve and die out." Rather than a simple statement of morality, Johnston presents this as a matter of cosmic consequence, pertaining to universal forces that move through humanity. The emphasis is not on the eradication of sin, but the maintenance of equilibrium. He attributes the excessive impulse associated with Wendigos to the fact that the Great Spirit, or Kitchi Manitou, has endowed some of creation with, quote, "slightly more than is good for them." Anthroposophical thought frames human development between two great polar forces that drive evolution. One reaches its height in winter, drawing consciousness inward, strengthening intellect, rationality, and selfhood. The other predominates in summer, drawing consciousness outward, flooding it with inspiration, movement, and cosmic intelligence. Neither is evil. Both are necessary. In Anishinaabe belief, the Pau'i and Siwuk, little manitou dwelling along riverbanks, were said to protect humans from the Nebonabe, siren spirits that enticed people to join their underwater realm and thus become like them. So, though each principle is needed, when either exceeds its rightful measure, the metaphysical integrity of the human being is lost. In anthroposophy, neither of these polarities knows moderation on its own. It is the task of humanity to hold them in balance. These greater forces live within us. Through inner reconciliation, the human being simultaneously partakes in the drama of the macrocosm. So the Wendigo myth appropriately collapses distinctions, referring at once to Manitou and to the distempered human. A person who becomes a Wendigo loses reason. Their will is overwhelmed by a cosmic impulse that replaces identity itself. They do not merely have hunger, they become hunger. This is the summer impulse unrestrained. In this light, winter does not create monsters, it reveals them. It exposes what has grown beyond proper proportion, the last sound and fury of summer's manifestation. Between these extremes lies freedom. As novelist Maria Edgeworth observed, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. All play and no work makes Jack a mere toy. Steiner likewise reminds us that a pendulum must swing to both sides in order to achieve equilibrium. Without expansion, there is no growth. Without consolidation, there is nothing to grow from. When the earth has taken in what is to be preserved, what exceeds the natural order is laid bare. Before a new cycle can begin, a final reckoning must take place. And so in myth and folklore, the sovereigns of winter send forth their hosts, riders, hunters, and reapers to claim their quarry and thereby reclaim the cosmic balance. These are the last spirits of winter, and it is to them that we turn in part 2. Before we end, I just want to give a quick reminder that our Discord is live. I invite all listeners to come join. It's free to sign up. There are paid options for some extra bonus content coming down the pike. But for now, you might as well just sign up for the free option, and there's plenty of places to chat and exchange ideas with fellow audience members and myself. Link is in the YouTube bio, episode description on audio platforms. Thanks again for your support. Hope to see you there. Are you going to Scarborough Fair?